Pulp MX Network production.
EVS Sports brings you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly on the LVK More Than Moto podcast. Here's your hosts, Lewis Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the EVS Sports LVK More Than Moto podcast. I am Kellen Brauer, of course, joined by Lewis Phillips. We are back. I think this may be our longest break between two shows that we've ever had. Lewis, you were a little busy the week leading into Las Vegas. It feels like maybe 3 weeks ago that happened now, but you were in Austria, then you came back, then we were busy all weekend with Steve and Phil parties, and now you're back in Florida. There's a hurricane. There's a lot going on. Essentially,
why would this be the longest break? We've had 1 week off before.
Yeah, but I feel like we did one pretty early after Charlotte, and then now we're doing one really late after Vegas.
Oh, so the longest break by 2 days, or
yeah.
Okay, sure. I'll accept that.
I'm sorry. I just figured it was one of the longest breaks.
Good.
Okay, how you doing?
Yeah, all right, not too bad. To be honest, I'm absolutely tired as hell. Going from Texas to Austria to Vegas to Florida has killed me. I have no idea what time zone I'm meant to be on. I have no idea what's happening. I'm mentally fatigued, and I've got to go to the Nations on Monday, which, to be honest with you, I just need a break. If the Nations could be pushed back a week, that would be great, because I just need to kind of sit for a little while.
Okay. You over the weekend in Vegas, had gotten back from Austria, and it seemed like the jet lag took 2 days to catch up with you. Are you that type of person that, if you're just going, it never really gets to you? But when you finally stop, now that you're in Florida, now it's, this was a lot.
Yeah, basically, when I sat on my couch on Tuesday, I was like, oh, I am fucked.
Okay.
But yeah, all the while you've got a goal and a focus, you can kind of structure your life, can't you? Yeah, it's just a lot. To be honest with you, I can't believe I'm still so I'm really tired still. I thought I'd be over it by now. First day I got back to Florida, my little sleeping app said I slept for 14 and a half hours.
Oh, wow.
And I woke up and I was tired. That day, if I had closed my eyes, I would have fallen back asleep on the couch or something.
Well, I mean, it could just be jet lag, but I don't know, heat stroke from Vegas, Epstein Bar, yeah. You got a lot going on, and then a hurricane just blows right over you, and you're totally fine with it, so no problems.
Which I was told to evacuate, but in keeping, I'm a man of my word. And last LVK we discussed natural disasters, and I said I do not give a fuck. I will just stand strong. So I was told to evacuate, but I was like, you know what? I spoke to the people of the world and told them that I would stand strong, so I need to do that. And I did that successfully.
All right, fantastic. I wanted to ask you real quick, this is kind of non-moto off topic, but there was a lot that just happened in Vegas over the weekend with the parties and SMX and all of that. Did you have a favorite moment of your weekend? Because we were together for almost 4 or 5 straight days. What was the best part?
Well, that was the least favorite moment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Dragged you down.
No, the Phil party was really good.
Which one? Oh, you didn't go to the first one. That's right.
Not the public. You could catch something. The private one, really good.
Yeah. You're in a lot of photos, broing down.
Just had for some reason I seem to be in every photo. Which I don't really understand. I'm either in the background or the subject of.
Yeah.
And likewise, and on the contrary, I'm not sure you're in a single photo.
Oh, I'm in a couple, but not with you're hanging with all the riders and Steve and stuff. I don't know. You're getting around a little more.
I try to focus on the A-list group.
Yeah. No, it was cool though, and it was cool that Phil got to have a proper send off like that 3 times. A lot of parties. I think he was partied out by the time that party was done. But is there a correlative guy in your experience, either working GPs or here, that would have that much fanfare around him as Phil did this weekend? Or is this unique to Phil?
Well, I don't know because it's relative, isn't it? Because obviously Tomac will have that much fanfare.
Well, you know what I mean. industry, I don't know, ponies up to that level for someone of Phil's stature.
I bet Anderson will have something of that level.
Yeah,
but
I guess.
Probably be doing. There's a guy called Deegs. He's quite popular.
Okay, fair enough. So the popular guys will get it, but Phil, maybe not quite the results that those guys get, but still.
Oh, wow. No wonder you weren't in any of the photos with Phil.
Yeah, well, Phil just would flip me off all the time. Anyway, let's actually get into the show. We got some topics to go over, a lot of SMX, a lot of Nations talk, a lot of stuff going on. Before we do that, big thanks to EVS Sports. Experience the pinnacle of knee protection and injury prevention with the EVS Web Eclipse knee brace. For over 39 years, EVS has relentlessly honed their engineering expertise, consistently delivering award-winning knee braces. This legacy of excellence is embedded in every facet of the new Web Eclipse, which represents a culmination of their tireless dedication to innovation and rider safety. Use code LVK30, that is LVK30, to save 30% off today. Also, thanks to Namura for presenting the show, the leading provider of engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 2 decades. Namura has been the preferred choice for premium and dependable engine components for more than 20 years. Whether you're restoring your vintage bike, rebuilding your four-wheeler, or upgrading your new 450 race motor, Namura has you covered. Our extensive line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and soon cylinder kits that enhance your engine's performance. Keep an eye out for our new and innovative products in 2024 and beyond. Stay up to date by following us on Instagram at Namura_technologies. And lastly, Racetech, thank you so much for presenting the show. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. From modern to vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance. All right, let's jump in, Lewis. If you're new, if you haven't been with us the last couple of weeks, we have been blindly hitting each other with topics. Lewis has a little bit more topics on his mind today, so we're going to let him run the show a little bit earlier, but I got a couple on my mind that I want to get off my chest. So first one today, Lewis, that I want to throw at you is now that SMX is over, we've seen the rigmarole of the 3 rounds. You only went to 1 last year. You went to all 3 this year. Does SMX this year, year 2, feel less, I don't know, like an off-season race series or like less gimmicky? Like, did it feel more like a real put-together, fully thought-out pro AMA type race series this year than year 1?
Well, first of all, what a basic bitch topic you've picked there.
Oh, okay, gosh.
Struggle, that's bottom shelf stuff.
Bottom shelf.
Yep, you can tell that you struggled, and I'm here for you. That you struggled, but no, I don't think that all of those descriptions that you just included. I don't think it felt like that last year, did it? I never heard anyone say it felt like an off-season series or anything like that.
My question with it is, did it get better year 2, basically?
Okay. But your word was off-season. Did it feel less like an off-season series?
Yeah, because that was, especially year 1 going into it, that was a lot of the people, were saying that. Like, oh, this feels like Monster Cup, but just 3 rounds of it. Or, this feels like not a fully put together thing yet. Like, we need to flesh this out more and get a better kind of, I guess, process with this and understanding and all that. And then as soon as the paychecks hit, I feel like after year 1, there was more people singing its praise. But did this second year do justice for the first year? Like, did we take steps?
I don't know if we took a step. But then I was fairly convinced in year 1. I honestly don't know if there was much of a step because this felt fairly similar. So I don't know if I can say there's a step, but I can definitely say that I was convinced from the start. And I think it's as simple as if you have every single top rider on the start, then that's me convinced. What I identify as an off-season race, or Monster Cup as you put it, is a race with 50% of the field on the line, because it's so glaringly obvious that this is different from the norm. But when you have all of the top guys on the start, it is the norm. And then add to that the fact that it's in September, so in the traditional calendar, I never felt like it didn't belong or it was peculiar. Is it more accepted now industry-wise? Again, I almost struggle with even saying that because I feel like it was just, I don't feel like there was a lot of pushback last year. I feel like there were questions of like, how important is this? So yes, maybe now the cash has come in, people can put more of a value on it. But no, I think it's fine for the most part.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that, in my opinion, I don't really feel like we did take a step. I feel like it was very status quo again this year, which I guess could be a good thing because maybe they hit the mark with year one as what they were trying to do. But I feel like a lot of the underlying things that were said in year one came back out in year two of, this is too many races. Is it really worth it for us? We're exhausted by the end of the year, which a lot of the riders are saying. And then it is a short series. So do we really draw any, like, this is the world champion from this, like you're putting such a big label on who wins this series. And at the end of the day, I think both guys that won probably should have won. But, I feel like that was a question mark for people as well. Like, there's still the prestige of winning 17 Supercross rounds or 11 nationals versus 3 playoff races. And I feel like that has kind of stayed the same.
Okay, subtopic to something you said there just sparks what was on my mind this week. In this sport, do we put more emphasis on the world championship tag than any other sport? Like, Formula One is a world championship, but I feel like it's just Formula One. It's rarely referenced as the Formula One World Championship. MotoGP, I feel like it's very much just MotoGP. Yes, it's World Championship, but it's not hammered that this is a MotoGP World Championship. But then in this sport, we seem to clamour for the World Championship title.
Well, I wouldn't say that we clamor for it because at the end of the day, we've been around forever. It's Supercross, Motocross, and SMX. We don't say world champion. But obviously, as part of the nature of it being called the Super Motocross World Championship, we have to say that. However, yes, world champion does mean a lot, especially to the promoters, because when they're trying to appeal to a casual fan, and this goes back to the 2003 to 2007 World Championship debacle with Supercross, how are you going to explain it to fans that actually being world champion, being the SMX world champion, is less important than winning 17 rounds of AMA American Supercross? Like, that doesn't make any sense to them.
Essentially, it's bred from insecurity. Our sport is not as steadfast enough to just kind of be like, we are who we are. We almost need the validation that the tag brings.
Well, again, like I said, it goes back to the promoters caring a little bit more about it. I mean, remember when WSX came around and suddenly the last 3 rounds of Supercross in 2022 were the Supercross World Championship? Like, this is the World Championship of Supercross, even though WSX had the title. Again, do we care? Probably not really. I don't really care who wins World Championship or American Championship or whatever. But if you're trying to sell that to new fans and sponsors as well, as we are the World Championship and this is the world champion, that makes it more appetizable or digestible as well to someone coming into the sport for the first time. Because as you said, F1 MotoGP, that's a pinnacle. It's not even close. However, you can make a debate for MXGP being MXGP champion meaning more than being an AMA motocross champion. So there's a debate there.
Okay. I'm going to show complete and utter stupidity and ignorance here. NFL. Is there something else?
Yeah, there's XFL, CFL.
I don't know. What do they mean?
XFL is like a spin-off, or I don't even know if it's called FXL, but it's like a spin-off USA, like, honestly, like all the backup NFL players that never made it.
But still in America. Okay, so very clear in its position.
CFL is Canadian Football League.
It's very clear in its position. So essentially, yeah, although it's one American-centered sport, it's very clear what sits at the top of the table. Whereas this, it's not. I'm sorry to hijack your topic. It's been on my mind this week.
Well, again, like I said with that, NFL, yes, it's very obvious. It is NFL. Nothing else is comparable. And I would say the same thing about, let's say baseball, MLB. Yeah, maybe Japan has a pretty good league, but we're out in the weeds with those types of sports. F1, pinnacle. There's other single-seater race car series, IndyCar, such and such, but it's still not even close. And I think that you can, am I wrong? Can you make a comparison that winning an AMA 450 national motocross title and an MXGP world title, there's a debate to be had?
Yeah,
what means more?
Yeah, of course.
that doesn't exist in MotoGP and F1, which is why the World Championship moniker being added to SMX matters for these people.
Almost proves that the World Championship tag is meaningless, though, because technically, if it carried so much weight, there would be no debate between winning AMA Motocross and VFIM Motocross World Championship, because one has the title. So if the title was really the end-all and be-all, that title would kill that debate.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm trying to pull us away from being, two people that have lived in the sport for as long as we have, and just be, someone who's trying to look at it for the first time ever. And it would rack my brain that the world champion might not be as important as the American champion. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So anyway, that's whole out in the weeds. Bottom line is year one versus year two, step or no step?
Expected trajectory.
Expected trajectory. Okay, I can live with that. All right, my next topic that I have is, since our last show, a lot has happened with Team USA. Chance Hymas obviously withdraws from SMX, then withdraws from Nations to get surgery. Cooper Webb jumps in on a 250 instead. And then Chase Sexton has a bone contusion in his hand at the finale of Las Vegas, and now Eli Tomac is in his place in MXGP. All I really want to know with all of these changes is, what about percent would you give it? Has this change for Team USA affected their chances of winning?
Like 2%?
Up or down?
Down.
Okay, so you think that the original Sexton-Hymas combo was better than Tomac-Webb?
Yeah, but I feel like Hymas and Webb is more of a sidestep. Chase better than Eli, so that's the point. Funny, actually, when you think about it. This is almost history repeating itself, because in 2006, when the Nations was first held at Matterley Basin, Ricky Carmichael was named to the team alongside Ryan Villapoto and James Stewart. Carmichael, the AMA Motocross champion that year, got hurt in the final race of the American season and couldn't go to Matterley Basin. Literally, history repeating itself. Funny, huh?
Are we back to the Carmichael Reed Stewart versus the current crop of guys debate that we had like at Phoenix earlier this year?
I don't know what that means, but no, history repeating itself.
You don't remember that debate where I said,
you agree with me? This is history repeating
yes, it is history repeating itself, in the sense that the guy that was going in the MXGP class got hurt at the last round, and now he's being replaced by
champion, last race of the year.
Yeah.
Matterley Basin, the same track.
I can't believe you don't remember our debate from Supercross. Anyway,
I thought that was last year.
No, remember I said that Chase was Reed, and then Jet and Tomac were Carmichael and Stewart, and you argued that Chase is Carmichael. We had this whole debate. Anyway, okay, so 2% less chance of winning for this team. I wanted to ask as well, though, now that we've gone through SMX, and in hindsight, obviously, Tomac withdrew, gave Plessinger the other seat in the open class. If you had to repick the team today, is Tomac on the team over Plessinger or no?
What, are you saying repick the team with everyone healthy?
Yeah, so like if Chase is still available, but it's Tomac versus Plessinger, are you picking Eli based on what we saw in SMX?
Yeah, I think most people would have picked Eli at Ironman before.
Oh, really?
Don't you agree?
I don't agree.
Okay.
I think people were saying that Tomac will get better in SMX, but there was obviously the question marks, and over a year-long span with Tomac not being there, Plessinger beat him in 4 motos when he came back. Like, I feel like there was perfectly reasonable understanding to say that AP was the favorable pick at that time.
I will say this. This is actually very good for Team USA, because this proves that even when a disastrous situation occurs, maybe more disastrous than even disastrous describes, it proves that actually the country does care. There are people willing to step up, and the Nations is not looked upon as negatively as all of the previous actions would lead you to believe, because ultimately people cared enough to step up. So that proves that even if they are saying otherwise deep down, it does matter, and it is all going to be okay. So that's nice. I feel like that's a nice justification for Team USA.
Yeah, I agree, and it's cool to see that these guys raise their hands again and are going to go to battle. My question with Eli about that situation though is, do you think that there was part of Eli with this that like he realized, okay, this is the last time I can go overseas and do this? Like he'll probably be here for Nations next year at Ironman. If he has a good outdoor season, I don't see why it doesn't get picked. But like, this is my last chance, last opportunity. If I don't take this now, I never get to do it again, kind of thing.
I think more so he realized that there was no way he could say no and justify it. There was no valid reason to say no. Also, I'd imagine that it probably played into it that he does want to do the Nations next year. And he thought to himself, like if I turn this down and don't save the country, quote unquote, this time, how well received is it going to be when I try and get picked next year? I'd imagine that played into it. And yeah, yours as well. I think it's a three-prong attack there.
Yeah. Like you said with the Hymas and Webb thing, I feel like that's maybe where you said that like it could be kind of a wash, I guess, with depending on how Webb does on a 250. If Webb does drop back down to a 250 and knocks it out of the park, can we finally settle this debate of like, hey, if Team USA did finally gamble once in a while and put one of their best 450 guys back on a 250, it actually would work?
I don't think that's much of a debate, though. I think
it is.
It's not a debate. I think it's just a reluctance to do it. I don't think there's any misunderstanding that isn't a good option. I just think there's reluctance across the board to put in the effort to do that.
As in the riders are reluctant, or the teams are reluctant to let the riders do it?
All involved. The riders are reluctant. The teams are reluctant. The AMA is reluctant to suggest it because they know it's just going to open up a can of worms of discussion and awkwardness. I think everyone it's just almost too much grief to approach.
Yeah, I feel like we've had this opportunity before where the three best riders are all on 450s, and dropping down one to a 250 wouldn't have, I don't think, really been that much of a bad idea. And they just don't do it. Like they just refuse to try it. And so like it's cool that Webb, I think that this opens that box a little bit more because Webb does now raise his hand here, jump on a 250 willingly, et cetera, that I think it becomes more possible in the future, because in the past we would have a lot of 250 guys jump up to 450s. Hampshire wanted to do it last year. We can go back to Webb's, time on a 250 jumping up to a 450. That bridge seems easier to gap somehow, but I think that this maybe opens the door a little bit more for someone on a 450 dropping back.
Yeah, I mean next year I'm certain that Deegs will be there, so it's a moot point. And Hymas should be a year better. So the hope is obviously that the 250 talent pool is deep enough to always pick from that. Which arguably hasn't been the case for a little while now. But I feel like the 250 talent pool is also trending in a good direction where this scenario may not be needed.
Sure, but what happens? We get to 2026, for example, Deegs moves up to a 450, Chase, Deegs, Cooper Webb, AP, whatever you want to say, are unbelievably good on 450s, and then our best 250 pick is Kitchen, maybe? Huh?
Well, Kitchen's out because he'll presumably be on a Kawasaki.
Yeah, but again, I still think that that's not necessarily a PC thing. I think if Kitchen was clearly the best 250 rider in the world right now, Mitch would go.
I don't know. Kitchen said that he was not contacted about replacing Hymas. That tells me all that I need to know.
Well, I think that that's different, though, because there is no Cowie going now. And so when Hymas pulled out, they would have had to scramble stuff for Cowie to go, whereas Star's already going with Max. So they already had personnel going.
I don't know. I feel like you're reaching there. Not even worth a phone call to Levi? Hey, Levi, what's up? I'm not saying let's commit, but hey, is it they didn't even decide that it was worth a phone call, which tells me that they knew the door was very much closed.
Okay. Well, maybe that more goes back to when, Mitch used to be very involved, and then there was tensions with, I guess, him and Roger and how the team operated and stuff like that. And maybe it is a Mitch versus Roger thing, not a Cowie thing.
I don't know. I think it's just Cowie in general is looked upon as a no-go.
All right, fair enough. All right, got my topics in and out of here, I can do my third moto topic, or we can run with what you got, Lewis. So you want to start off with your moto topics for us?
Well, first of all, extremely disappointing that you've had 16 days and have only managed to come up with 2 topics.
Well, you guess what? My daughter was in an urgent care last night with an ear infection. I've been shooting dirt bikes the last couple of days. It's been a little busy, so.
Okay. Well, sad to also hear that you left it until the last minute. Because I'm hearing a lot of excuses for the last.
I don't think those topics are that bad, but you know what, Lewis? You can be so negative about it.
2 topics.
Well, I can do my third moto topic. I have nothing non-moto to talk about right now.
Exactly. Should have prepared the non-moto. What is your third moto?
You can veto this, or we can do it.
I just want to hear it.
Okay. If you had to predict today where Jet Lawrence ends up in the record books, where would you put him?
I'm out.
Yep, figured.
We're not playing that game. Okay. Well, once again, I guess I'll save the show.
Yep, as you do.
So would you like a non-moto or a moto?
Yeah, I'm letting you pick. It's your show. We're just living in it.
Okay. Well, I've got 6 topics, so maybe I'll just do all of them, and we'll just condense the time.
All right, I'll probably veto one then.
Okay. First, does Star signing Anstey, Pierce Brown now, does that show that they have a lack of confidence in their own roster and their own ability to cultivate talent?
Yes.
Okay,
but this isn't new for them. So I don't necessarily say it fully falls that narrative, as in like they have lost faith in their own ability to produce talent. I think that they're losing faith, but they've always done the, hey, let's go get Jordan Smith. Let's, that type of route as well, where they go get experienced veterans to be on the team as well to help their younger. Yeah. So like this isn't new, but I do think that this is, there is something to be said that they're starting to struggle a little bit with developing talent, because I think they're even, I wouldn't consider this scrambling, but they're getting as many amateurs as they possibly can now. Davies, Caden Manier, like that whole thing all over the weekend with discussion there. Like, I think that they're trying to throw darts at as many dartboards as they can to see what hits.
Yeah, curious, because you can argue that this is proof that, again, they've lost faith in their own roster and their ability to cultivate talent. But then also at the same time, they're doubling down with more amateur guys. So like that almost dispels the theory that they've lost faith in their own ability. But to your point, it's just a shotgun approach across the board, really.
Yeah.
If you are a Daxton Bennick, not Romano because he's out. If you are a Bennick, I guess specifically, maybe you do look at like the signing of Pierce, the signing of Max as like, well, fuck, isn't it my time to kind of step into that number 2 role on the team or whatever? Like, it's kind of keeping Bennick where he was this year as a rookie within the team hierarchy.
Yes, but I think if you're Daxton Bennick right now, you're trying to think of anything you possibly can that keeps you from
being
calling it a career or being fucked. Yeah, like he's going through the rigmarole of a lot of bad things right now because he got benched. He is apparently blazing fast during the week, can't figure it out on the weekends. Like, he's in his own land of hurt. So, yeah.
And then Moserman, Thrasher. Like, it's certainly... Yeah, Thrasher's the interesting one here because he's technically a veteran now or closer to that. Certainly not a rookie anymore. But then he just continues to float in obscurity.
Yeah,
well, again, the hope for Star would have been at this point that you put Deegan on Coast A to win and you put Thrasher on Coast B to win. If all had gone well, that would have been the forecast. And then Bennick is bringing it up the rear and right there ready to win races and maybe even challenge for a title this early. And none of that's really worked aside from Deegan. But then it's curious, isn't it? Because still, again, to the point of, so they're signing these new guys to essentially, what do you call it? Like, what do you call it when you plug the holes?
Yeah.
Stop the ship sinking. But then they're also hiring these amateurs and still hoping that whole program can work out. But then also at the same time, they're still re-signing Thrasher. So like, it's like they're refusing to admit weakness in any area, So they're just going to continue to do every area and hope that it works one way or another.
Yeah, well, I think that, that model specifically is let's hire established guys that we think can win us a title so that we stay like relevant this year aside from Deegan, and build for the future with those guys behind them. Like you said, keep developing Thrasher, get these new guys on the block. Like, I think that they're...
I don't like that. I don't like keep developing Thrasher.
Oh, wow.
Like, no. I mean, I don't like it from the framing of like, how long has he been pro now? 4 years? 3 years? 5 years?
Yeah.
Keep developing? Like, are we not there?
Could say
now?
the same thing about Pierce Brown.
True.
Pierce Brown has less wins than Thrasher over his career.
Yeah,
and now he's about to walk on the stars like an A rider.
Okay, this is interesting then. Thrasher has more wins in a shorter amount of time, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
I'm 99% sure, shorter amount of time. Why is it that I look at Pierce Brown as better, more capable, safer? I look at him as safer, but I understand why I look at him that way.
Here's why.
Why do I?
Here's why you think that. No, because Nate Thrasher will not do what Pierce Brown did, which is Pierce Brown would come back from an injury and ride his nuts off and go so fast and cartwheel. It happened 3 years in a row where he would come back and be like fastest qualifier, third fastest qualifier, wins the heat race, third in the main event, yard sales the next week, out for 6 more months. He came back and finally was just like, I'm done. Like, I can't keep doing that. I just need to make it one whole year, not getting hurt, taking my sevenths, taking my fifths, not trying to win races and go as fast as I can, and I will get there eventually again. And he did. Now he's a race winner to cap out SMX, and he's going to a team where he's going to be expected to be a champion. Whereas Thrasher just goes out there and goes, I'm going to go as fast as I can for as long as I can until I hit the ground as hard as I can again, and then we'll restart this whole process.
Thrasher is essentially the cartoon where there's like a booby trap, like a box with a stick with a treat underneath. And he just keeps going back to the treat and is not learning his lesson from that, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
But you agree with me there, right? Like, he just won't, he's not changing.
Thrasher and Pierce Brown is not a comparison that I initially think of, but it's actually a very interesting cross-examination.
Yeah. Two different methodologies of going to point A, basically.
But at its core, I would say Thrasher is the faster rider. Is Thrasher the better rider, all being well?
I don't think so. I think Pierce has now made himself capable of lasting a full season at a good speed. I don't think Thrasher has proven anywhere near close to that yet.
Okay.
Well, before we're done, because we still have just a couple more seconds here, I did want to go over this whole, like, what Star's future. I heard at one point from a couple people that Deegan was going to kind of like wreck Star because he's going to come in and be what he is, and the resources would go to him, and then you would start forgetting about everyone else that's there. And I already feel like we're kind of there a little bit. So don't you feel like these next, let's say, 3 years for Star's 250 program are very critical for how things go in the future?
The best thing that can happen is Star win a title with someone other than Deegan in 2025.
I agree.
Quite simply, which can happen. I think Pierce and Max are the only two options for that.
Yeah, I think so. Moseman?
You could add Moseman into the Thrasher conversation and the Pierce Brown conversation. Yeah, interesting. Done.
Is this the most turnover that Star's had in a single year? We should look into that.
I don't know. There's so many riders there that I struggle to mentally log everyone who came in and went out at different points because there's so much, like, 7 riders at once. But it's like, wait, who's there? Like A-Rod,
Jordan, Romano, Styles.
The team in 2021 was Craig, Colt.
But that's turnover because they're getting forced out of the class.
No, but I'm trying to even think who was on the team. I can't even
recall.
Yeah, Jacob. Jacob is arguably
the best Star success story.
Yes.
Besides Deegan. Yeah.
Yes. Although you could argue that even he is kind of at a point where he would be better off elsewhere. Yeah, anyway, nice.
right.
Well done. Great work.
Well done. Let me real quick before you do that. We are halfway through the show. I want to give a big thanks to EVS Sports. Experience the pinnacle of knee protection and injury prevention with the EVS Web Eclipse knee brace. For over 39 years, EVS has relentlessly honed their engineering expertise, consistently delivering award-winning knee braces. This legacy of excellence is embedded in every facet of the new Web Eclipse, which represents their culmination of their tireless dedication to innovation and rider safety. Use code LVK30 to save 30% off today. All right, Lewis, keep going.
Okay, what do you want now? Non-moto or moto?
It's your show, man. We're living in it.
Okay. Do Christian Craig's injuries over the last 2 years not only impact our perception of him, but indirectly our perception of Malcolm?
Because of Craig getting hurt?
Big brain thinking over here this week.
I don't think there's a correlation there other than that the bike never got to a level either of them were comfortable.
Well, let me explain. If you look at it this year, Malcolm, in the 6 Supercross races that they did together, Malcolm beat Christian 5-1. In the outdoors, they both raced every moto. Malcolm beat Christian 16-6. Very good. Impressive. Malcolm was clearly the number one rider on that team. But because we know of the struggles and how hard it was on Christian, we kind of throw that information out, which means we actually have nothing to compare Malcolm against. Whereas if that was a healthy, at his best Christian Craig, and Malcolm could amass similar statistics, that's a very clear indication of how good Malcolm was. But instead, we're kind of in orbit, struggling to land, because we don't really have a firm comparison.
Yeah, I think, I look at them two completely different people because Malcolm was coming back from tearing his knee to bits in 2023 and wasn't even sure that he was going to be comfortable again racing in 2024. Like, obviously, he was fast in the offseason and testing, but racing is a whole different beast. So, like, I think he went through, that, like, struggle period of getting readapted and reacclimated to racing at that level. And he's, we still look at some of these guys as like, oh, they're young spring chickens, but Malcolm and Christian are both in their 30s. It's going to take them longer to come back from injuries and get back to a level that they're comfortable at again. So I think that I look at Malcolm more so as his own thing, which is he was just going through the motions of getting back to being old Malcolm in any sense or shape of the ability throughout the entire year because it just took him that long to get over the knee injury.
But less so focusing on Malcolm's results and more the fact that what I said about if Christian was firing on all cylinders and Malcolm handled him in a similar vein statistically, then suddenly you've got Malcolm has something to kind of point to and shout about as this is proof of how good I was despite the lack of podiums. But instead, it's almost like Malcolm was a one-man team because you could make an argument in court to throw out Christian's results and any sort of comparison because of everything he went through. So, point being, Christian's injuries and struggles actually affect Malcolm because they don't give Malcolm a firm level to compare himself against, both himself and us from a wider perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a fair...
Big brain thinking.
That's a fair kind of comparison to make. You're right, because, at the end of the day, all they're going to do is compare each other, teammate to teammate. Yeah, Malcolm should feel better or like look aesthetically better, but there's too much going on there with both of them being injured that they're just so individual of how they came back and dealt with it. I mean, Christian's injury was terrible. Like, he basically doesn't even have an arm, and he's still trying to build up strength to that. So I think that they just kind of were both their own people this year, own programs, own thing. Even though they both worked at Alden's, like they just were on different wavelengths.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting next year. The RJ comparison for Malcolm should be much more, poignant. It'll really give us an idea, because if RJ comes in and handles Malcolm, that's that. If Malcolm handles RJ more often than not, then maybe you go, oh, okay, Malcolm.
Do you think RJ handles Malcolm?
I don't know, to be honest. I really don't. Yes. But then I don't know how much better Malcolm's going to get. If Malcolm is the same as this year, yes.
I think we see more flashes from RJ. I still think Malcolm beats him in the championship. I think
Malcolm,
we see.
Malcolm, RJ's not going to do the whole Supercross championship.
I mean, outdoors.
Race by race, only outdoors.
I mean, outdoors.
Oh, we were talking outdoors now.
Well, like, yeah, when they first are fully racing each other, I think we're going to see RJ. I mean, this might be crazy, but borderline fastest qualifier some weeks, and then like get whole shots or be up front and battling for like moto wins or something early in the motos, but then have just either big crashes or very inconsistent results, and Malcolm's just going to go 5 like all year long.
That's a bit much.
Okay, 7.
Yeah, I can accept that more so. But no, talking Supercross, I think. Well, the great question here is: does Malcolm step up?
I think he's better in 2025, but it's still
does he win a race?
No. I still subscribe to the theory that we're coming down the mountain with a lot of these guys: Barsha, Anderson, Malcolm, Kenny.
Remember when I said
Eli?
that about week 2 of this year about Malcolm, and everyone said I was a hater?
Okay, yeah, I see how you're bringing this full circle.
But we do remember this.
We do remember that. I think the term you said was Malcolm's done.
I believe the term that you used was, I would be surprised if someone isn't pissed off at you for that.
Well, do you remember the term that you said?
What?
It wasn't week 2 either. It was like week 8. And
no, but I think we revisited. I definitely raised it early, and then we revisited when we had more instance.
Well, I think since then he has done more than fuck all, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Well, it was more talking super outdoors, yes, Supercross versus what we expect from him. No.
Do you think he wins a race in 25?
No.
No. Does he get a podium?
Well, that's what I was going to say. We can agree he gets back on the podium, though, right?
Hunter Lawrence, Jet Lawrence are here now. Jay Coop's going to be better. Christian Craig's going to be back on a star bike. Like, all of these people that maybe weren't even as good as they should be this year will be better.
Okay, full circle, and we're ending this topic here. Christian Craig on a star bike. Does he handle Malcolm?
Someone asked me this question over the weekend, and my response was basically like, he's going to be 100% better in the whoops, and the results will probably be pretty similar.
My response is, it still depends on where his health is at and where the arm is at.
But that's what I mean. He's gonna be fast again. We'll see Christian Craig on the board a couple times. And I think that his fitness and his arm and all that stuff and being a little bit older, I think he's still going to be like a 10th place guy.
Okay. Fair. Am I doing another moto topic now, or am I doing non-moto?
It's up to you, buddy. We still got about 20 minutes to go here.
Well, then shouldn't I be doing two non-moto?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't ask for a fan topic this week, did you, Kellen?
No, but I have one for next week.
Okay, don't know how that works. Non-moto. You have a button which, when you press it, does something. What does yours do?
What?
You have a button.
Okay.
Which, when you press it, it does something. What does yours do?
And it can be anything? Like I
guess so. Open to interpretation.
I don't know. I have a button, and when I press it, it deposits $1 million in my bank account. I don't know.
Yeah, that would have been mine as well.
Okay. So boring, veto?
Yeah, no, I was hoping for a more spectacular answer, to be honest.
Because you wanted me to say like, oh yeah, everything that my wife has ever wanted is great, and then you go, oh, Kellen, back with the wife and kids. Where are we landing on Mars this week?
I was hoping you'd say like you press it, and then a random house blows up every time.
No, that's dumb. I mean, if you started with like that's a potential, like your question here should have been, you have a random button on your desk. If you press it, you might have $1 million deposited in your bank account. Or you might be dropping a bomb on a town or something dumb like that.
Oh, then yeah, I'll just press it every time until the million comes out.
Okay.
I'll just probably go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'd be like, well, I should at least get 2 million from that.
Yeah. Well, let's look at my bank account, and then after that, let's turn on the news and see what's going on.
Well, he probably won't even be on the news. How many towns are there in the world? The chances that you're going to hit a town that actually no one cares about is good.
I think if a town blows up, Lewis, it's probably going to be on the news.
It would be unfortunate if you push a button once and like LA blows up. That would be an unfortunate set of circumstances. Because like you'd much rather obviously like some random town in a desert somewhere that's been abandoned for however many.
Tumbleweed, Nebraska. The one person there, it won't make the news. LA, different story.
I mean, it would be even more disappointing if you push a button and it's your town that blows up. That would just be bad luck.
Yeah. So then your bank account looks great, but you're not even there to see it.
I mean, yeah, but that's just bad luck of all the towns in the world. You know what? How many towns are there in the world? Let's find out.
They were going to look at like 100,000 or something crazy like that.
How many do you reckon? 100,000?
Towns? Yeah. Like 100,000 in the world.
Over 4 million.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, wasn't even close.
Yeah, I thought over. Okay. Anyway, next Than Moto, Dosh.
Dosh.
Would you rather live for another 80 years and never leave your house, or live for another 10 years and be free to go wherever you want? C, one more day.
That's your C is one more day and then you're out.
Yep.
So like, let's say if I say 80 more years, but I never leave my house, can people like around me still leave and come visit and like?
Yeah, and I presume you can Uber Eats and you can all of that stuff.
Can I ask, like, if I do this deal, can I tomorrow go buy like the most gnarly epic house ever and then I just live in it for 80 years?
Well, how do you have the funds for that, Kellen?
I would just go in massive debt, but what does it matter? I have 80 years to pay it back.
I don't think that's how the world works.
You mean that's not how the world works?
I don't think, because you know you're going to live for 80 years, I don't think you just put yourself in massive debt because you've got time to pay it back, because ultimately time is not the currency, money is.
People put themselves in massive debt every day and they have no idea how much time they have left. So if I know for sure I have this much time to pay it back, I could come up with a financial plan to do it.
Would you not be more likely to put yourself in massive debt if you know you're going to die in 10 years? Because then when you die, it's not your problem.
No, because it depends on what kind of debt it is. It could be passed down.
I don't know if my loan shark does that.
Anyway, what would you do, Lewis? I would do 80 years and get in a nice house.
Honestly, I can't fucking think of anything worse than not being able to leave a house for 80 years. But to be honest with you, 10 years and do whatever I like also doesn't sound that appealing. So
you'll be out in a day.
I'd probably just tell the person who's offering me this, I'll just fuck off.
Yeah, I don't want either.
Yeah, just fucking leave me alone. Neither sound like, who cares?
I have a Than Moto, if you don't mind if I interject.
Oh, look who's back in the show, everyone.
I'm back. Okay. And it's similar vein to what we just talked about. I think I asked my wife this over the weekend. Tomorrow, or no, actually, here, let me rephrase this.
I thought you were going to start singing The Sound of Music.
No. In your life, and let's say you can make this determination from the day you turn 18 onward, but in your life, you can just snap your fingers and for one, let's say 5-year period of your life.
Say about 80 onward? This is if you're 80 onward.
18 onward.
Oh,
so the time you're an adult until whenever you die, you can just snap your fingers and you're filthy rich, like unbelievably so, right?
Yes.
And you can do whatever you want for, let's say, 5 years. But as soon as those 5 years are up, it's all gone. You can't pass it on to anybody. You can't build up a portfolio of finances. So you can live lavishly for 5 years, but then you have to get rid of everything you have as soon as that 5 years is done and go back to living your mundane life.
Well, thanks for calling my life mundane, Kellen.
Mine is too, so.
Well, no, why wouldn't? What is the downside? Obviously, knowing what you could have had.
Well, the downside is that a lot of people, especially people who win the lottery, they fall into very bad, dark places because they don't know what to do with life post-money. And so they blow it all and then, become massively in debt, addicts, etc. Like, there's a whole subset, like I think there's documentaries about this of like people who win the lottery that are like dead within years.
Yeah. Good for them.
Okay. So you would do that and just fall in the trap anyway.
Why would you not? Like, especially if you're smart enough to have the context of this, why would you not do it knowing that you know not to fall into this trap?
Because how do you know what life is going to be like after you're living on a yacht for a year straight and then you have to go back to living in a small house?
Because I know what my life's like now.
Okay.
So I would probably keep my job
Okay, so then let me ask you this. As an extension to that, if you're going to say yes to this no matter what, you can pick at any point in your life that this is going to happen from 18 till you die. Let's say you live until you're 80. What 5-year span would you select to have this happen to you?
Well, it doesn't matter.
This is great, Lewis. This is really great banter. Yeah.
No, it's all the same.
How is it all the same?
Because it's all you. Like, it doesn't make a difference what point in your life you do it.
Sure, it does. Because if you do it from when you're 18 to you're 23, most likely you're in great physical shape. You can do whatever you want. Your body recovers. You get hung over all day long. Doesn't make a difference. If you wait until you're 80, you could maybe like enjoy the finer things in life or whatever, but you're not able to recover as fast.
I don't know what finer things in life.
Traveling is more difficult when you're that age.
Yes, I think I'd just do it. Like, I think one day I'd be like, now I'm bored. Click. Like I don't think there's necessary to have that much thought process go into it.
Okay.
Like, because ultimately it is all the same thing, because you are going to have this 5-year span. Like, there's not much to it. 5-year span, then you go back. The only slight understandable approach is to do it basically when you're pretty sure you'll be dead in 5 years. Like, okay, so I know I'm going to be dead in 3 years. I'll do it now. I'm not going to get the full 5 years, but I know this is how I'm ending my life, with a lot of money and just doing whatever. That
lavish show.
Some sense. But if you know that at the end of the 5 years you're going back, then you're always going to go back. So it doesn't matter when you do it, because you're always going back. Yeah. Thanks for coming out, Kellen. Thanks for coming out.
Just throwing a little topic in.
So I do one more?
Yeah, hit me.
Would you wish to travel to the future and be present at your own funeral? Yes.
So you're saying yes?
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. Tell me why for you.
I honestly think about this a lot. Like, a lot. Like, probably more than I should. Like, who would turn up? What would they say?
Yeah.
Like, I would really be curious to know who I think is a friend but doesn't actually care enough to turn up.
Okay.
And then also, what would people say about me?
What do you think people would say about you, Lewis?
Probably not nice stuff.
Stop. It's a funeral. No one goes to a funeral and goes, "Oh, this dickhead over here. Terrible interviews. He really put me in a bad spot."
I think it would probably turn out to be more of like a roast.
Roast of Lewis.
Yeah, no, I don't know what they'd say that's good.
I think there would be a lot of people who come and say good things.
No, because all that you'd be able to go is, "He's all right."
Man, you have a negative perception of yourself.
Well, what have I really done that's worth commenting good about? All I've really done is done enough to warrant, "He's all right."
I mean, professionally, I think a lot of people agree you're a pretty good journalist, so that would be positive. But I think most people, here's how.
Isn't that sad?
You've been to a lot of funerals, Lewis?
No.
Okay. Most funerals that I've been to have been like anecdotal stories of like, remember that funny time that this happened? So like, if I was at your funeral, I'd be like, "Hey, Dark, Lewis is a great guy. You remember that one time he tried to order a Red Bull vodka at Nashville and got a double vodka instead and hated his life for 30 minutes? That was funny."
Also, just to clarify, if anyone's listening to this, at my funeral, do not let Kellen stand up and say, "I remember when me and Lewis were discussing whether we'd rather be hot or cold."
Stop it.
Cut the mic, because I'm not having that be my fucking memory. Cut the mic, cut the show, like that meme. What's the that clip where the guy's crying and he's like, "Cut the show."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not allowed. But okay. No, I would say I almost think about this daily. Genuinely. Like, hand on my heart, this almost crosses my mind daily.
Well, if this weekend is any indication, people would come to your funeral, and a lot of people would come to your funeral and be like, "Remember that crazy story about him trying to go see a girl and then she got in a car crash?" And
people like that story so much. I don't really like. I wasn't even going to tell it on Pulp in the first place because I thought it was boring. Like, I don't.
You told it 5 times this weekend?
Yeah, reluctantly. I don't really get it. I don't know what's so good. I don't. It's not that funny. Like, it's not funny. It's more like a true crime story than a funny story. But yeah.
But
no, yeah, literally, hand on my heart, I think about this almost daily. Or I would say definitely daily. Like, definitely yesterday, I thought to myself something, not to give away details, but I thought to myself, I wonder if that person would go to my funeral.
I wonder who.
Yesterday, I was talking to a rider about the hurricane, and
Yep.
I said, if I die tonight, please go to my funeral, as it would do a lot for my street cred if you turn up. And,
I wonder who that is.
And also said, I can arrange for you to have a VIP table if you don't want to mingle with the rest of my fucking loser people that I know.
Okay. If you die and you have this funeral, who do you want to speak at your funeral? Because we don't ever get to really choose. Like, it's always like kind of just determined.
I think what I'll do is, if I'm aware, I think I'll arrange my own funeral.
Okay, so you would have like an agenda for your funeral, and here's all the people that are speaking, what they'll say.
There'd be a schedule with like half an hour block. Only tell positive stories about Lewis. Just to be clear.
Okay.
What was the question?
Who would you want to speak at your funeral?
Well, if the fucking hot and cold debate is anything to go by, you're out. Because you can't be trusted. You can't be trusted with a microphone.
Yep.
Well, for the street cred, I want some top riders up there, because that's good street cred.
Jeffrey, Jeremy,
honestly,
Chase.
If I could get a Chase speech followed by a Jeffrey speech, I'm fucking that puts the value of my life up significantly.
Okay. So again, because things are so anecdotal, both of them would just get up there and be like, I remember this one time.
No, neither of them have stories, so that probably wouldn't work.
They absolutely have stories.
I don't think there's any stories of me in existence.
None at all.
No, honestly, I don't think.
No Lewis stories.
I kind of just like float along. I can't think like if I'm thinking now, if I stood up at my own funeral, which would be fucking bizarre, but let's go with it. And I had to tell a story about myself. I can't think of one.
If Chase walks up there, he's going to be like, I remember this one time when we walked by AMA's Mike Pelletier and I nudged him on the shoulder, and I'm not going to finish what he said after that, but you know what I'm talking about. He would say stuff like that.
Oh, no. But back to the original topic, yes. I am so fucking sad that I won't know who's there and what they say. Like, genuinely already sad.
Okay.
Can we get Deegs there? What sort of start money do we need for Deegs just to further
So now what we need is Eric Pernard to like promote Lewis's funeral.
Ultimately,
pay people.
Ultimately, no one has anything to say about me, so we're just going to purely go for a start list that carries weight to boost the value of life.
You understand that? Oh my God.
Ricky. We need Ricky there. Ricky knows my name.
Yeah, Ricky knows your name.
So there you go. That's enough to qualify him. Get in there, Ricky. Get up on stage. Yeah, good. I think we've arranged a fucking star-studded cast here.
You think your brother would show up there and like steal money out of your wallet and be like, hey, you got to pay rent to live in this casket?
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably would.
I think what I would do, I think what my will say, if you'll pardon the pun, I think I'll donate all my money, and there's not much of it, to don't know what. Let's put a pin in that.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe I'll donate it to Start Your Systems.
Oh, that'd be nice. Maybe you would turn a brand new leaf finally in the afterlife and donate it to privateers.
No. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Genuinely think about this like daily. Just
Okay.
what say, and imagine if no one turns up. That's heart-wrenching.
People will turn up.
If no one turns up.
People will turn up. Stop it.
Have you seen the film Coco?
No. Oh, wait. Yes.
Well, about being forgotten.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I know where you're going.
That also started all of these sports. I mean, I'm aware it's not real life, but do we know that? We don't.
See, so I've had people, because I go to these events at the brewery for Phil's retirement party, and I talk to people about you because they want to, we're bonded, as Pookie said, so they want to know what you're like.
Going, I remember when I asked Lewis if he'd rather be hot or cold.
No, and they go like, what's Lewis like? Is he the way he is on the podcast? And I will say, no, he's funny, genuine, good to talk to, all this stuff like that.
Wait, hold on a minute. What the fuck? What way am I on the podcast?
Oh, you're blunt, Lewis. People know that.
I think I'm just me, am I?
Anyway, Now when
So,
people go like,
yeah,
what is Lewis like talking about? Like, what is Lewis thinking in a daily sense? Think about his own funeral. There you go. That's the answer, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. Good to know. Lewis and his funeral. Oh my gosh. Well, that was a fun show. You definitely carried us along the way, but we got a lot of topics in, and yeah, SMX is done and Nations are coming up. You're leaving next week for it. Are you like level of excitement? If 100% is the most excited you can ever be for a Nations, where are you at?
Generally, a Nations in the UK does not excite me anywhere near as much as Nations elsewhere. So fairly low. Also, I don't know if it's all the news, but Chase is out.
But MXGP qualifying race might be the best ever.
It doesn't include Chase now.
Yeah, but it's still going to be good.
It doesn't include Chase now.
Okay, so disappointment.
I almost cancelled my flight out of protest.
Let's stop it.
No, the MXGP qualifying race will still be okay. I mean, will it though? Because it's now just, well, yeah, I guess so.
The only thing that's changed is Chase is now replaced by Eli Tomac.
Yeah, but I genuinely think a lot of my excitement came from the fact that Chase was really fucking big in this. Like, he was really all in on this event. So I kind of fed off that excitement. Like, he was so into, I'm going there to win my class. So I was like, oh, fuck, this is going to be one heck of a battle. So now I've kind of lost that. I need someone else to...
But dude, like, seriously, Jorge, Geyser, Hurlings,
Yep, you've just named this weekend's MXGP.
Roxon, Jet, Tomac. Throw all them together and just have fun. Here we go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's going to be good.
It'll be fine. The weather looks good as well.
Yeah, good. Hopefully it'll stay that way. All right. Well, we'll come back next week and preview Nations. There's a lot of different nations I would love to go over and debate and stuff like that. So we'll preview it coming up next week on LVK. Sorry for the late show this week, but thanks everybody who tunes in and listens. Lewis, good to talk to you. Glad you're okay in Florida, not destroyed by the hurricane. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, EVS Sports, Namura, and Race Tech for back in the show. We'll see you guys next week.